Good evening, everyone. We will now get started with our July the 10th committee meetings. Before we start, commissioners, please turn your mics on. Always try to operate through your committee chairman as far as the floor, your questions and such. Before we begin, there's one item we will be removing from our agenda tonight before we even start. In Finance Committee, item 5A, our wheels tax resolution, due to some concerns wanting to reconsider or look at different options, we will remove that until next month. It gives further time, more time for evaluation. Everybody got that?
Got it.
Everybody understand? We're removing 5A from Finance Committee. All right. We'll get started then. First on the agenda, Justice Center Public Safety Committee. Chairman Horner, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address this committee may do so at this time.
Joe Stevens Road. You have, of course, another change order, rather large one. My only question is, do any of you have any information from the contract lawyer that you hired months and months and months ago? I know it's cool to just sit there and act like I didn't even hear that question, but it's been asked before, and I've never heard an answer. All I hear is, oh, somebody's meeting with her, and you get a few bills, and nobody knows. Well, some people know. But how about the whole commission? How about the public that pays the attorney? How about some information? Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go to item 3A, old business. There is none. Item 4A, the Justice Center project update. Tony Pettit, Burwell Construction.
Good afternoon. If you looked across the street, it's changing, so that's progress. Contract amount through change order number 12 is $93,142,385.16. Let me say that again. $93,142,385.16. Total and completed and stored to date is approximately 56% complete, for a total of billed to date and this is through the end of June, $51,914,954, and there's 16 cents there too. Of that $52 million, there is $9,105,500 in stored material, which equals about 9.7% of your contract amount. So actual work in place is $42,809,454, which that equals right at 46%, a little less than that. So it's time to start thinking about having our second meeting with the designer and the contractor, or the designer, and kind of having our airing of grievances. We're running a list and stuff, so we'll have a discussion with them on that. If you've been paying attention, the steel's already topped out. We'll talk to the pictures here. There's a different coloration in the precast at the lower part of the building. They took away a big crane and brought in a bigger crane to set the precast. And the main reason they're doing that is because that crane is sitting up where the Justice Center will sit, and it has to be big enough and heavy enough to be able to pick the panels and sit the backside of the building. So because there's not enough room between the existing Justice Center or jail and the new Justice Center. So they got that crane picked up over the top. And they're sitting here, and it's a precast with a brick already in place. So it's precast with a brick. And we made decisions on those colors and sizes and got a credit back early on, and all the credits are smaller than the ads. But we did get a credit on the brick. Foundations progressing. If you take a look at one of these pictures, you'll see some foundations on the front of the. Okay. You'll see some foundations dug out. That's going to be the front of your Justice Center. If it'll rotate around there, I'll point them out. Me? Oh, it's my fault. Okay. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see the foundations and the columns and stuff dug out from this drone picture here, and that's going to be the front of your building. So, and these panels are being stored, just in case you want to know. They're right behind the car wash over on. Thank you, Morris Boulevard. Yeah. And as I said, the steel's topped out. The one of the things in the top recreational area, there is that's going to be open, and weather will actually hit that rec area, and the rec area is what sticks out here where they got the stair tower up. And one of the items in the change order, when we talk about it, I'll refer back to that picture if we still got it. There's your brick. Again, you can see the discoloration of it's just an unfinished precast panel. Still a firewall, and that's it'll be covered up by your Justice Center. That's actually a stair tower that's enclosing there. Let's see what other notes. The the masonry inside the block is continuing. Fireproofing continues. It's a spray-on fireproofing. HVAC work continues. Plumbing work, and all the trades are working, trying to make that access from the outside. You see the sails in the upper top here, where between those sails and that column, we're trying to keep that space as open as we can to allow maintenance to be uninhibited if you have to go back in and work on plumbing, HVAC, or fire protection in that chase. Electrical work continues, and of course all the sails are on site and being put in place. So that's the report. If anybody has any questions on that.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Warner? I didn't mean to be rude, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Am I reading it correctly down there where it says $31,835 from Michael Tiles? I thought we were past that.
That's in the change order. I can address the change order now if you want to. I'll answer that question. Let me finish the update,
Okay.
and then we'll get back to that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you want to do the change order?
I don't want to, but
Yeah.
I'll have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, change order number 13 is got 5 PCOs. And PCOs are pending change orders. And I'll just go on to make sure, Commissioner Green, that you don't let me forget that question. I get a little nervous up here and skip stuff. PCO number 10 was emergency generator, and we were trying to get some credits out of some things and swapped all that stuff out. That was a long lead item, and we finally got that settled. So that ended up being a 0 change order. Okay, and I'm reading off. I think the packet included an explanation of these PCOs with the change order from the architect. So PCO 22 is a revision to the feeders of the chiller those actually reduced the gauge of wire going into it once the engineer got a hold of what the spec was actually of the chiller that was provided, and we got a credit back out of that. So we're kind of digging for, it didn't seem like it, but we're trying to dig for every dollar we have. PCO number 29, we've been discussing this for a while, and this is where the ventilators that are used, what they spec'd and when they designed it, these ventilators changed. So that model that they spec'd wasn't exactly correct, so they had to get a bigger horsepower motor with the ventilators that would work, and that resulted in a $9,258 change. And that was just because the manufacturer no longer supplied what was specified, so they had to change it to something else. Interrupt me if you have any questions on that. So I was referring back up to the top up there, and the contractor discovered that he had a masonry chase around these exterior columns at the very top of these rec areas. And he discovered that on top of that column, there wasn't anything to make it watertight, to close it back up, because it's exposed. The column went up and then no detail was shown. And after a lot of discussion, the most effective way, and that would be the economy way of doing that, is make a precast cap right over the top of those, which would shed the water out. And precast, we looked at sheet metal, we looked at masonry, we looked at precast, and precast was the most economical long-term thing to do, and is actually short-term as far as coping. And sheet metal, it was still the best thing to do. But now mason just has to put on a cap on the columns there, and that makes it waterproof.
Mr. Horner, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Does your red button, does your red laser thing, that?
Let's see. Middle button. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
Right there. So the top of that looks like, you know, you could fall through the floor. You'll finish that, and that'll be the rec area, the top of it, or
the rec areas. There's 3 levels of rec areas. There's the first level, second level, third level, and this one has a cage on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but weather can still come through that area.
I see.
But there's a masonry column that will be laid up through here, enclosed, and when it gets up to here, it was just open. So they had to come up with an idea of how to make that area in all 3 rec areas waterproof. And
Okay.
that was the way, and it resulted in an $8,300 thing.
Are they going to be enclosed, or are they going to be able, will there be air? How do?
Well, the ends of them will be open
Okay.
for daylight,
Yes, sir.
and then it'll have, these walls will come out.
Okay.
This wall here is, there's actually 2 rec areas in each wing. So there's one here on this side, one here on this side, one here, one here, one here, one here.
Okay. Thank you.
Anytime. But anyway, the change order involves how to address the tops of them. And, you know, we're looking at costs all the time, and long-term costs as well as short-term costs. And we thought the masonry would be the best thing to do. Now for PCO 59. So we went through all those painful change orders for micropiles, and this is settling up the micropiles. It's materials. We are in negotiation for another change order request for time. That'll be forthcoming. We're still arm wrestling over that one. It's not ready to be presented yet, but I thought I'd let you know. You can ask questions about it, and I can tell you where we are right now. But it's for an extension of time of the contractors that asked for 11 weeks. To get back to this item on the table, this is actually, they lost 2 or 3 shafts on some of these micropiles, and there's language in the contract that allows them to charge when you drill your shaft down, your micropile down, it goes out, leaves a bit, leaves a shaft. and we negotiated the price down on how much that cost. That wasn't a unit price cost, but it's half of what the unit price is for a fully installed micropile. So we're being treated fair there. So this is the $39,000 to settle that up, and that gets rid of the micropiles as far as overages and grout. And this also takes away the things they had to leave in the ground there. You know, they'd set it down, drill. They actually hit a shaft or it's kind of a cliff of stone here that made it go out this way, and they locked up and couldn't take it back out. And we've got Geo Services is the county's testing agency that monitors all this. So we've got it all documented by a third party. We're not just taking Redstone, the contractor's subcontractor. We're not taking their word for it. We've monitored all this, so it's all tracked and everything. So this settles up the material portion of this. And just be aware that we're still in negotiations for the time delay of this. So that time delay when it was first entered was $191,000. So we're working down from that.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Horner.
That's got to follow up some more questions.
Mr. Horner, may I?
Chairman, your work now.
Quick question. You talk about time delay. Please give me a better understanding, being
Okay,
you're the expert. I'm not, but I'd like to understand it.
Okay, so, you know, we've always talked about whatever we do, let's don't cause a delay. All right? So this was a delay that was caused by unknown conditions. It's in the contract documents, when it talks about changes, it talks about materially different quantities of changes. And this is over 10% of the grout. No, over 50% of the grout. This is what's been the most painful thing. It's 10% of the length, but 50% of the grout has caused this delay. And we're going to talk a whole lot about this the next time, but I'm going to try to answer your question as best I can. So that delay is not the fault of the contractor. It's not our fault. It's just the site. And we went up and filled a bunch of voids underneath this ground with a lot of grout. So we have a firm foundation. It's kind of like buying tires for your car. There's maybe Commissioner Naismith gets excited about tires, but most of us just want something that'll hold up. And this is kind of what we've done. And we've spent a lot of money on grout and time. So the time factor has never been part of this. They wanted to, they are approving, and they've asked for 11 weeks. We're negotiating a little bit on the weeks time delay, and we've proved it, and we're looking at the schedules that were submitted, their planned work, their actual work, and this is going to delay their contract, they say, by 11 weeks. Okay? And then they have a cost. They have two things they're battling against. The county has a liquidated damage clause in there that says if you're late, you owe us $1,000 a day. So that's not much, but it's something. Because what they are doing is about what their superintendent, assistant superintendent, their cost of being up there is about 2.5 times that. So they're motivated to get done, but they want to ask for that time. It's up to us to determine if it's due and what's due, and then come back to you and ask for that change order. And I hope to do that if they give the right answers and we like them. We're never going to like the answer, but bring that before you on the next month, Commissioner. Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Chairman Horner, may I ask you
Yes.
a question? When he gets done, it was brought up in the public comments about the attorney. I'd like to hear from our mayor or from you as to when the contract attorney would be addressing us and telling us where we stand with that, being that we have had 2 bills from her, sir.
Are you, is that it?
That's it for me.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the change order number 13. Motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? See none. Motion. Do you want to address?
Hey, Mr. Pettit was talking about the change orders and the contract attorney, and we had a question from one of the citizens in regard to a report from that attorney, being that we paid 2 bills, if memory serves me correctly. Just like to know when the county commission is going to hear from her. Because as far as I know, I've not seen anything or heard anything.
The plan right now is to hold the 50% meeting with the designer and to negotiate with the designer on adjustments to what, I mean, we've already approved some change orders and paid the change orders, but we've got some issues that we want to present to the designer. And so when we finish with that part and meet with the designer and get a agreement on what adjustments to be made, and that will include some information and opinions from the attorney, then we'll present all that in a package.
Question, sir? When can we expect to see that, being that we've not heard anything except for seeing bills?
60, 90 days.
Okay. And now, my understanding, you correct me, sir, because you're a lot smarter on this than I am, and I'll be the first to admit that to you. Well, I know that she's supposed to be a specialist, and as far as I know, most of us on this commission have not seen a report or heard anything. Do you expect she will be worth the money that she has charged and this county has already paid?
Yes.
Do you expect us to come out with hopefully some marked off of our bill or payback from that bill?
Yes.
And you think we'll see that in 60 to 90 days?
I think so.
Will she be coming before the county commission to give that report?
If you want to pay for her time to come.
Could we at least have a Zoom meeting with all commissioners signed in and listen to it? So that we'd all be on the same page? Communication is
If you're willing to pay for it. Because she bills by her time.
Well, I understand that. But would you be willing to set up a Zoom meeting with all commissioners to be able to sit in on it and ask questions and find out what's said?
If the commission votes to do that, yes.
Or at least furnish us a report so that we know where we're at for the money that Hamblen County has spent.
That's the point. After the 50%, after we reach the 50% mark and negotiate that, we'll have a report for it.
Okay. And you think that'll be in 60 to 90 days?
I can't guarantee it, but that's right now. That's about based on what Mr. Pettit was saying about the progress. We're close to 50%, so it's time to start those talks.
Thank you for your answer, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Horner. Justice Center, we'll move right into the Finance Committee. Chairman Hahn, you're recognized, sir.
Call the Finance Committee to order. If there are any members of the audience which wishes to address the committee, you may do so at this time.
Linda Noe, Joe Stevens Road. First, I'll ask whether Chairman Cutshaw will allow me to speak. I came here to speak on item 5A.
One second, please. Our timer is not up yet. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm asking first whether I'm going to be allowed to speak.
Well, just hold on just a second. We'll get started.
Yeah, we can do it on the phone.
Before that starts, I will tell you, that is off our agenda, so no, ma'am, you'll have to wait till, well, I mean, it's Chairman Hahn's call, but it's not on our agenda tonight as far as the resolution for a wheel tax.
Chairman Hahn, may I speak on it?
There's really nothing to discuss at this time, so we'll pass on that until it comes back up.
Okay. This was published. I pulled it up, printed it off, and I came here specifically
I
to
understand,
speak
but if you got something else to discuss, that's fine, but this is off the agenda, okay? Please address something that's on the agenda.
Okay, I'll address 5B, which is the memorandum of understanding between the legislative body, the road commission, and the highway department. I would like to know more about the memorandum, whether it's binding or whether it's just a, hey, this is how we'd like it all to work. And of course, it also ties in with a wheel tax. And I would like to thank Commissioner Howell for pointing out at the last meeting that you could fully fund the schools at the amount requested. You could avoid a wheel
Chairman
tax
Hahn.
increase.
Chairman
And
Hahn.
you could put 2.2.
Ms. Noe,
It's
no.
his, not
I
yours.
know, and I'm calling out on this. We're not going to discuss that. You've been asked, you've been told. Now, you can either address what you came there to address, bar that
And
5A,
that is
or
related
you
to
can
the
sit
highway
down.
department.
You can sit down, one or the other.
And she was going to put 2.2 million in the highway fund.
Anyone else desire to speak?
Gwen Holden, 8150 West Point Drive. I don't know how you're going to get the money. I hope it's not through a wheel tax. I hope you can get it like you got the church department's money and the school's money and use our money wisely to fix our roads. That's all I want. Good roads. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to address the committee? Seeing none, we'll move in. You have before you there item 3A, under recurring business, expenditures reports, and also 3B, the monthly checks. You can look at those at your leisure. If you have any questions, we can bring those up. No old business. Under new business, we have 5B, the memorandum of understanding among the Hamblen County Legislative Body, Road Commission, and Highway Department regarding the need for road repairs and resurfacing. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, in your packet is a copy of a memorandum of understanding between the County Commission, Road Commission, and the Highway Superintendent. And the purpose of this document is for each of the bodies to publicly state and agree that if there is an increase of the wheel tax, the money generated from the wheel tax will be used for resurfacing and repair of roads. And this is a document just to show the public that the Highway Superintendent, Road Commission, and County Commission are all on the same page and all understand the seriousness of the issue and the need for road repair and that the wheel tax revenue would be used for that purpose. I've given this document to the Road Commission as well as Superintendent Poole, and Road Commission, I think, meets tomorrow night. Questions?
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Motion, Mr. Richardson, a second, Mr. Doty. Now we're open for discussion.
Chairman Hahn.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask the county attorney a question, if this is legally binding, if this memorandum of understanding is legally
Mr.
binding?
Capps, can you address that?
In terms of the county itself, these are all county offices that are trying to work together. I don't foresee that any of these county bodies would be trying to sue each other if it were not strictly complied with. But I think what I understand the purpose is for everyone to know that this is the intention of this. If there is a will tax increase, that it is used, that everyone agrees how it is to be used, and that nobody is standing over here saying, yeah, we'll use that whenever we want to or however we want. But everyone understands what it's to be used for. That's what my belief is. I don't see it as a contract to be enforced in a court of law. That's the question.
That is my question, sir.
There's not a contract here for that, so to speak. But it is a memorandum indicating an intention of these bodies to do what they say they're going to do.
Am I understanding you correctly, sir? Then it is not legally binding? Or it is legally binding? Let me clarify my question.
Legally binding, meaning that it can be enforced in a court of law. I don't think it's legally binding in that extent.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Capps. Yes, Ms. Howell.
Well, I want to go back to the word if it was. It is, if this were to pass, this is really just saying, if we're going to play ball on that field, here are the rules. If this is not a passing, it's a, if this were to occur, say, yeah, right, that is it. If it were to occur, that's what we're dealing with right here in this memorandum.
A rule.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think it's more of a rule or a guideline.
Yes, sir.
That's recommended that all these bodies, I mean, I don't see these bodies trying to go back, frankly.
Yeah, okay. So when we vote on this, we're voting that, oh, now we understand that if this were to occur, that is what would happen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cutshaw.
Yes, I'd like to add that I think it's an opportunity to show everyone that that is a good faith effort by 3 different bodies, that this is what our intentions are. This is the intention of this body. We all understand things change, but the intention of this body is to move forward with the road commission and the county road superintendent, that any wheel tax enacted will go for this purpose.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No move. Item 5C, resolution of the governing body of Hamblen County, Tennessee, authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of Hamblen County interfund capital outlay notes not to exceed $560,000. Mr. Britton.
In the budget that was passed week before last, is there's in the Highway Capital Projects Fund, there's revenue in there. There's $1.2 million in interest income revenue in there if the wheel tax doesn't pass, to purchase resurfacing and road repair equipment that the highway superintendent requested, as well as a couple of pickup trucks. This is an interfund loan where we would borrow the money from ourselves to go ahead and get the money and go ahead and order the equipment and have it, or we would have to wait 5-6 months for the interest income to build up before we ordered it. So if we borrow the money, we can go ahead and order the equipment, have it so Mr. Poole and his staff can use it, and then we pay it back before the end of the fiscal year when we have the money collected through interest income. So this is just a mechanism where we borrow the money from ourselves. We basically borrow the money from the debt service, and debt service loans it to the Highway Capital Projects Fund. We use that money to pay for the equipment, and then as the interest income comes in, then we pay that back to debt service.
Motion approved.
Motion, Mr. Doty. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Harville. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Britton, this is under the assumption that we're going to pass the wheel tax.
Well,
My question is, if we don't pass the wheel tax, is that necessary? The capital equipment?
we still have the money through the interest income, which is budgeted to go to highway capital projects to buy this equipment and to do this. Regardless of what happens to the wheel tax proposal, there would be money to pay this note back. Because there's $1.2 million in the budget for interest income on the revenue side.
So my question was, the only money we have for road improvements is coming through the wheel tax. Without, other than the state money that comes in. So is that piece of equipment necessary if we don't have the funds to come in and do the work? From what memory, I think he wanted that, needed that, because there was a lot of road repair to do. I guess my question is, which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
In conversations I've had with Barry is if the wheel tax doesn't pass, basically we're gonna become a county that repairs roads.
Okay.
And so this equipment is to repair roads.
Okay. Okay. That answers my question.
Chairman Hunt?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Graham.
Question?
Yes.
I want to follow up on what Commissioner Richardson said. How much are you anticipating coming from this state fund that I hear everybody talk about that we're supposed to be getting? And when do you expect that we will receive it for paving and so forth?
There's, I think in the plan from the Department of Transportation, there's about $2.5 million in state aid money that can be used on, 20% of our roads, which is about 80 miles of our 400 miles of road. It would be distributed, there's over a 3-year period. We have to use it over a 3-year period.
And when do you think we'll receive it, the first batch of it?
I think that these are really questions for Mr. Poole, but I think it's a reimbursement. It's not a, you get the money up front and then you do the work.
Okay.
I think we have to spend the money and then they.
And reimburse.
That,
Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Neesmith.
that $2.5 million that state aid's got, I think that is, if you start out on Highway 25 and end up on 160, you can use that money to fix those roads. But if it's a road that comes out on 160 and turns out and goes another way, like Bellwood Road, if it was blocked off, you couldn't use it. That money can't be used. It's got to connect state road to state road.
There's specific roads in the county that qualify, and I think what you're saying is one of the requirements of it.
That's $2.5 million.
$2.5 million.
That doesn't have anything to do with what the federal government's going to give us. That we don't know how much it's going to be yet.
I don't know anything about that money.
That is state.
That's it.
That's the show.
So it's just a one-shot deal for $2.5 million. So it was throughout the whole state, 95 counties, I think it was.
Yeah, and our portion of it's $2.5 million.
Ours is $2.5 million.
Over 3 years.
Over 3 years.
Chairman Long.
Ms. Ahern.
So if it's over 3 years, $2.5 million, and we only have 20 miles, it's about 20 miles, correct?
20%.
80.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
80 miles.
80 miles. So divide that over 3 years, that's 25 miles a year that money would pay
Well,
No?
now the 2.5 million won't repave 80 miles. Divide that by about 300 or about 400. The latest asphalt quote, not quote, but bid that came in at about 20% to 25% higher. So
I understand. I just used wrong verbiage. I understand.
okay.
Thank you.
I got you. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? Motion passes. Moving down to item 5D, Axon contract, Captain David Cribler.
How are y'all?
Good.
So Axon's not new to us. It's who handles our body cameras, our fleet cameras for our cars. They're also Taser. They've got the market wrapped up. They have a lot of stuff that we use. They have great stuff, and that's the reason why we've stayed with them. Previously, we started with them in 2017, I believe, for a 5-year contract, and then we got an extension for a year because they typically operate on a 5-year contract. Well, here we are, time for the new 5-year contract to stick with Axon, continue to have the body cameras, continue to have the fleet cameras. This does not include Taser because the starting time for Taser's a different contract time. So I think we've got 3 years left on Taser. But what we're coming here for today is Axon reaches out. They say, okay, well, here's your price now. I think you've got it in your packet. We've done some negotiating. I think the initial price for Axon was $437,000 over a 5-year contract. Went back and forth because we really didn't like that number because we know you wouldn't like that number. We've reached out to other entities that have body cams, fleet cameras. We actually demoed a couple of those places just to see if there was a better product for a cheaper price, or at least a cheaper price, and maybe even if it wasn't a better product. Their initial quote was also a 5-year contract, and it come in at $525,000, so substantially higher. Axon's just good. I don't have any other way to put it other than they're just a good product. So checked around other places. We quoted those places. Didn't really like the equipment, but if it was cheaper, we were going to look at it. So, but it come in substantially higher. So going back and forth with Axon, we renegotiated from that $437,000, and then got to where you're at on the $369,000. But we had some added features thrown in for us to stay a customer with them. They're going to upgrade us to the body 3 camera. We're at the body 2, so it would be an upgrade in the camera for the body cam. They're also going to upgrade us from the fleet 2 camera to the fleet 3 camera to go in all the cruisers. And as the added bonus, there's an auto tagging feature, which probably doesn't mean anything to y'all, but it means a lot to us because I don't know if y'all paid attention over the weekend. The county's been busy, so and thankful we have body cams and fleet cams because they paid off in these scenarios. Had a shooter last night on a DUI. Had a guy shot at one of our guys 7 to 10 times. So it was good to have cameras. So having said that, the upgraded cameras, they'll have auto tagging feature, which what that does is if we go looking for a video 2 years from now when we go to trial on this case, then the auto tagging automatically tags that from the CAD system at 911. It pulls all the information from the call, and it automatically tags that video in our system to keep us from not losing it. Because on a scenario like last night, you've got all this going on. The last thing on your mind is to go tag that video because there's all this other stuff going on. So that $30-something thousand feature they threw in as an added bonus just so we would continue with their service. So I think personally going back and forth with them for like 5 months, we've negotiated as far as we can go with these guys to the cheapest, the most bang for the buck, so to speak. So if you have any questions about any of it, I'd be glad to listen.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir, thank you. So 45, that's all the officers that are out on patrol, I guess?
Say that again?
All 45 covers all the officers that are out on patrol?
Not only just them, everybody that's interacting with the public has body cam, detectives, court security. And that'll go up, because as you know, we're coming into the SROs. That's another thing I forgot to tell you. We also negotiated to keep the body 2 cameras that we already have.
Oh, okay.
Just in anticipation that we're going to have something for these SROs coming up.
And will Axon, it's okay with us keeping the older ones?
They are. Yeah, that was part of the negotiations.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
What is the difference between the 2 and the 3, or whatever it was?
It's just the upgraded version. One, the 2s didn't have an auto tagging feature when they made it to the 3s, and the 3s aren't the newest. They've got one next level above that, but the 3s are what the police department are using now. They have a LED screen or LCD screen. They have the auto tagging feature, higher resolution video, better battery life, just some upgrades from the last version.
How well do these things work at night with low light?
That's another thing it does. They work well with low light, better with low light. Not had any issues, to be honest with you, with being able to see pretty good. Now, you can't foresee placement if it's on the vest and you're in a fight or an argument or something's going on. Sometimes they'll get covered just because the officer's hands or another officer or suspects in front of the camera too close to see, but it still has audio when that's going on. So.
Oh, yes, Ms. Green.
Quick question. I'm assuming by what you've said that the body 2 cameras are done paid for then?
They are.
Okay. Yeah. And my next question is, according to the paperwork I'm looking at, the contract had to be executed by 6:30 and today's 7:10.
They gave us an extension so we could see you guys.
Okay, so it's not been signed yet?
It has not. We already negotiated with them to tell them that we had to put it before commission before we could go any further.
All right, one more question, and I'll leave you in peace, sir. With these new advanced body cameras, are you expecting us not to have as many, lack of nicer word, lawsuits?
There's no way for me to answer that question. I mean, I could sue you for stubbing your toe on my porch.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no way for me to foresee that. I hope not.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we do, it'll be on video.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Question for me.
Yes, Mr. Doty.
Captain Cribley, just real quick, and it's a clarification thing. I think I know the answer to this, but it'd be better for everyone to hear it, because I'm used to when I was patrolling, it was old school. We had a video cassette tape in the trunk that had to be taken out. These automatically download to a server.
They do.
So it's not that it can be, like Ms. Green was saying, about a lawsuit, these can't be manipulated.
Not
it's
at
an
all.
automatic, it goes to it, and that in itself saves question when it comes to court.
Yeah, it automatically goes to the cloud. Part of what we pay for is storage. And we even looked in, I'm glad you brought that up, we even looked into being able to send all of our information over to a personal server or a server that just wasn't Axon server. But we're dumping so much data that we're just too big to be able to do that now. So we had to move forward with the cloud.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We didn't get a motion.
We didn't get a motion, did we? I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion from Mr. Harville, second from Mr. Richardson. Thank you, sir. Now we'll vote the motions. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Let's do that again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion passes. Stand tight, Mr. Captain Cribley. Move down to item 5E, High Tech Systems Incorporated. Contract, Mr. Cribley.
So what this is, it's also in your packet. It's from Pulsium, which is high tech. I think they were Pulsium, but they went to high tech. Basically, what this allows us to do is, in order to have that auto tagging feature, it has to be able to mesh with the interface at 911 and the CAD system. Well, unfortunately, they don't do that for free. So we negotiated with them as well. We started out at $25,000, for them to allow us to interface with the CAD system and to be able to do that. Negotiated back and forth with them until we got it down, what you see in your packet, about as low as we could get them to go. So in order to be able to have that feature, and that's not annually, there'll be an annual maintenance cost, but it's less than $1,000 a year once we get it installed and working correctly.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Doty, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second, Mr. Richardson. Have any questions for Captain Cribble? Okay, we'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Do you have any opposed? Motion moved. Thank you, Captain Cribble. Item 5G, budget amendments, Finance Director Amanda, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. SRO Grant, program update, Sheriff Mullins.
We'll have more on this tomorrow. We're doing some testing tomorrow, but just to keep you updated on 6/16, the SR grant application and the MOU between the Hamblen County Sheriff's Office and the Hamblen County Board of Education submitted to the state. On 7/3/23, the SRO contract received from the state, signed by myself, and was sent back. On 7/7, we took 9 applicants to do PT testing for SROs. We've had a total of 28 applicants, but a lot of them has backed out due to the fact that they're not going to be off all summer. They're going to have to go through the police academy. Some of them didn't want to. They looked at what they were making at other departments, and they didn't want to change. Less pay. We have already contacted True Blue. That's a vendor that we use for our uniforms, and we've used for years. They've been regarding the upcoming order. She says she'll be able to supply the uniform needs that we need. Gauls is where we purchase our bulletproof vests and stuff. They've been contacted, and they will be on site at the Sheriff's Office Wednesday to do some fitting. Tomorrow, we'll have the 9 applicants. They all passed their physical fitness test. They will be at the Sheriff's Office doing some other testing. Out of the 9, 7 are already post-certified police officers. So we're hoping to get some more. We got a few more that's interested, but we'll be doing that tomorrow. I believe next week I've got a meeting with Superintendent Bunch, so I'll have more information, move forward at a later date.
Do I have a motion?
No, just an update.
Oh, that's just an update. All right. Sheriff, we appreciate that.
I've got another matter.
Yeah.
That Miss Howell asked for. You want me to do it now or you want me to do it later?
Go right ahead.
Miss Howell contacted me and wanted to know the task of what it takes for us through the 4th of July weekend. So I got with all the departments that were involved in the 4th of July celebration at Cherokee Park. The Hamblen County Sheriff's Office, we provided 11 officers to the park. They done parking, getting the people in the park. As you know, it poured down rain. These 11 guys, including myself and the chief, were there directing traffic in, never got off the roadway. They were droughted rats. Marshtown Police Department provided 14 officers just for the egress to get them out of Cherokee Park. They can double line them out, shut the Cherokee Park Road down, and they can operate the red light with a switch to keep them moving. So if you come out of the park and you're in the right-hand lane, you're going to Granger County. Left-hand lane, you're going toward Morristown. EMA had 7 volunteers, including Director Bell. Marshtown Rescue Squad had 31 volunteers for the rescue squad. They parked, they took up donations money, and plus they helped with the fireworks blast off. TWRA, I got with them. They had a total of 8 employees on the water with 4 boats. Wow. And THP assigned 3 troopers to help with traffic on 25E. The inside the park, we had a couple of incidents. We had 2 incidents where children got missing from their parents that we all got together and ended up finding them. There was approximately the information we received from Frank Parker out there, approximately 12,000 people at Cherokee Park for this celebration. We had a wreck with no injuries out there. We assisted with an individual that broke their ankle. We had to get the MS in, and we had 2 order of protection violations out there at the park. TWRA, it was Operation Dry Water. Like I said, they had 4 boats with 8 employees. They checked a total of 82 boats over the 2-day period. They had 4 boater assist, which has helped tow them if they broke down or something of that nature. They gave 58 verbal warnings, 1 written warning. They issued 4 citations, and they arrested 2 for BUI. And they come in with personal contact with 329 people on the water. The Sheriff's Department, myself, and Lieutenant Brooks had right around dark took our boat out and assisted them with on the water. Calls for service. I got with Director Carpenter at 911. Calls for service between July the 1st and July the 4th. Hamblen County Sheriff's Office answered 137 calls. That's 137 different incidents. But the volunteer fire department, they were dispatched out 10 times over the 4 departments. Marshtown Police Department had 568 incidents. Marshtown EMS had 139 incidents. Marshtown Fire Department had 11, and the Medical Death Investigator's Office come out 4 times. Dead bodies. On some of these calls, like the Sheriff's Office, we had 137 calls. If it's a priority call, that would be like a wreck with injury. You'd send 2 officers, you'd send an ambulance, you'd send a rescue squad, and a volunteer fire department. So multiple agencies may be coming to 1 call. That's on priority 1 calls. So with the emergency communications between July the 1st and July the 4th, 911 received 1,892 calls. They were processed. 96% were answered in less than 15 seconds. The busiest time between the 1st and the 4th was July 3rd, from the hours of 7 to 8 p.m., with calls coming in to our 911 dispatch for them to dispatch emergency services. Every 75 seconds was a new call. That's your report.
All the while I'm slicing the watermelon and flipping the burgers. There we go. Thank you, sir, for
Thank you, Sheriff Mullins. Appreciate that and all the
Chairman
hard
Hong.
work you do.
Chairman Hong, could I ask the sheriff, could you fill us in over the weekend?
Well, the importance of these cameras, Saturday, that first-degree murder case, when our officers show up, they've got their cameras on and basically got a confession at the front steps. Not to get into any of the case, but it's going to be a premeditated first-degree murder charge. The individual is in jail. And then last night, we had a call of an individual intoxicated on the road. They got him stopped. Then he takes off from them. He shoots at them going down the interstate in a pursuit. And then when he goes to his residence or where he stopped at, he put 7 rounds into our police car. He busted our windows, shot the car. Our officer returns fire, but all of it's on body cam. They've got their body cams and their in-car videos on.
My goodness.
So it's something we have to prosecute these.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff Mullins. Wow. Last item 5G, budget amendments. Ms. Amanda Hale.
Chairman Hall, the budget amendment before you tonight is to increase the line for maintenance agreements within the Sheriff's Department. And it goes back to what Captain Cribley brought before you. We originally budgeted $95,000 in this line. And with the updated contracts for Axon and High Tech, we need to add an additional $60,000 to cover it. Those contracts as well as the others that already were coming out of that line. So this budget amendment will move $60,000 from fund balance into the maintenance agreement line to cover their yearly costs.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Ms. Howell, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville, do we have any discussion? Well stated, thank you. All in, I'm sorry, excuse me. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion moved. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Hahn. We will now move into our real estate committee. I will call on Vice Chair Harville to lead this committee tonight.
Call the Real Estate Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address this committee will do so now. Seeing none, we'll move down to new business, the August tax sale. You see the list there provided by our trustee. A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Sorry, I think I already heard. Okay.
I'm sorry, yeah. Commissioner Ahern, I'll second.
Really, Chris, what
Yeah.
you're approving, what we're asking you to do is in case these properties are not sold, then we're required to buy them back in, and we'll have a separate sale on each of these properties. In the last couple of sales we've had, we haven't had any issues with that, buying any properties. I guess since I've been trustee, we bought one, but I need your approval that we do that. Sure. The city would buy half of these properties here are 10. Let's see, there's 10, and I think there are 10 city, 12 county. We sort of city by, county by. So if there's a situation and there's none of these properties I've been investigating on that are any hazards or any reason that we should not.
Very well, any other questions?
That's just asking you your approval if we do buy the property.
Sure.
If necessary.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Harville. 1 second, let me get We will now move into Personnel Committee. Chairman Doty, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Personnel Committee to order. Do we have any visitors wishing to address this committee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Old business, we have none. New business, 4A, we have approval of education pay submissions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Horner, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Pone. With the motion and a second to approve, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B, approval of longevity pay submissions. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Ahern, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville. With the motion and a second to approve, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. We will now move into Public Service Committee. Chairman Richardson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call this committee,
Hold on, yes, that's right. My bad. Go ahead. My bad.
call the committee to order. Any visitors wishing to address the committee may do so now. Seeing none, we'll take up item 3A. There's no old business. Excuse me. Item 4A, Resolution 23. A resolution to amend the Hamblen County zoning resolution, specifically Article 9, Section 9.7, Environmental Industrial District.
Yes, sir, Chairman. This amendment kind of goes hand in hand with some other amendments that tweak the county's zoning resolution with regard to landfills a number of months ago. This specific adjustments to the I-2 district essentially, and originally you had a list of uses as shown in under A that used to be exclusively uses that had to go before your BZA or Board of Zoning approves to be approved. Now we've just moved all of these uses, since they all require state regulation and state approval, as uses permitted by right. And that left the only list under special exceptions under the I-2 zoning. I think it was automobile wrecking and junk and salvage yards. It still has to meet certain criteria and has to go before the BZA for approval. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, do we know, I mean, there must be some business pending for this to come forth, is there?
A few months back, I think there were some adjustments to the landfill regulations, but that's been a few months ago that it was approved.
Okay.
Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, could you just address the idea, this is basically just to clean up verbiage and add to?
Pretty much.
Yes. There's nothing pending that would require these adjustments that we're aware of?
Not that I know of, no.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Let's vote the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign. The motion carries. Item 4B, resolution to amend the Hamblen County zoning resolution, specifically Article 9A, wireless telecommunication towers and antenna.
Excuse me. Yes, sir. Staff has been working with the Hamblen County Planning Commission regarding their wireless telecommunication tower. Typically what you think of are cell towers. After much review, they have decided to completely overhaul it because much of it is very technical. It's already governed by the FTA, FAA. They have strict guidelines, strict policies when you're trying to apply for a new wireless tower. So, per the Hamblen County Planning Commission, they sought to streamline the process, simplify the regulations, and establish those regulations that cover the primary concerns regarding the actual location of the towers. And they wanted these locations to be concise and easily understood. Some of the key highlights: towers are a principal use. They are permitted in all districts. Site plan is required, and it must be approved by the Hamblen County Planning Commission. A setback of 1.5 times the height of the tower, and it must be enclosed by a fence. So Hamblen County Planning Commission and then the Morristown Regional Planning Commission did vote in support of this request at their June meeting. Staff believes this has achieved the goals they sought out to and also recommends approval.
Okay. Any questions? If not, let's, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Let's call the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson. We now move into Bulk Waste Committee. Chairman Horner, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Bulk Waste Study Committee to order. Is anyone wishing to address this committee may do so at this time. Seeing none, we go to item 3A, no business. Number 4A, Bulk Waste Regulation Public Information Campaign, Lee Simkowski, Southwood Marketing Group.
Good evening. I think in front of you, you have our working document for the public relations campaign surrounding the bulk waste campaign. Our goal is to educate and spread awareness about the new bulk waste ordinances. Again, this is a working document, fluid to, different dates may change. People consume information differently, so we tried to cover every form of media channels that we can based on the feedback from the citizen survey and within a budget. Do you all have any questions about the information?
I was just noticing on, well, the third page or so, about how many radio stations are you going for?
How many radio stations? 2.
Okay.
And
they already...
WCRK and WJTT, and we have not contacted or placed anything at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Chairman Horn, a couple questions. The RAC card for construction companies, exactly what is that?
So from our understanding, when people go to get permits, they are given information at that time. Contractors are given information at that time, and it was requested that we develop information for those contractors so they know not to separate their construction waste, or they cannot put it at the road anymore.
Okay. Second question, ma'am. Decal for the trash cans, stickers for the trash cans. I'm assuming you're going to leave them, put them on them and leave them on them?
That, from my understanding, that's what they wanted, for us to design those stickers to be placed on the cans as a reminder to people.
Okay, one more question. And please don't take this offensively. I'm 69, so I'm straight. You've got decal for side of trucks. I don't look on the side of a trash truck to see what's on it. You really think that we need to waste money on that?
That actually came as a recommendation from George. I don't remember his last name.
George Lawson.
George Lawson.
And he is what?
He is over the garbage sanitation trucks there at the highway department. It's just another avenue to express the idea. It's in front of people in every neighborhood every day. It's just a decal basically on the side of a truck.
And I noticed they have yard signs as well. Would you give me an explanation of that one as well?
I believe those are the yard signs that will say if you're in violation of the new ordinance.
That's to educate.
So they're going to get out and put them in the...
Well, we have a lot of work to do yet in how we're going to enforce this. We've all discussed this. This is a fluid situation, but let's say once we enact this situation, when a driver pulls up and finds a violation, we're not going to cite them right then, but we want them to know they are in violation. You put that yard sign out and people driving by will see this and maybe learn from what's going on. It's just all part of a public education campaign to let everybody know, or even that homeowner at that time, what is the problem, and let them call in. We've got to figure out who we're going to call, and there's a lot of work to do here, a lot of work to do. But yet the yard sign will alert the public or that homeowner, this is a violation. We don't want. It's not about fining somebody or citing somebody in the court. That's not what this is about. It's about helping our county be more effective in our garbage pickup and bulk waste pickup. That's what it's about.
One more question, and this would probably be for the mayor, ma'am. Will we see that contract before it is signed and approved?
Contract? Which contract are we talking about?
Miss I hope I pronounced
she's
it
hired.
correctly, Miss Simkowski.
She's hired.
Okay. So the contract's already been approved, sir?
Yes. Yes, and through the mayor's office, that was already taken care of as far as I know.
I didn't remember it coming before county,
Oh,
I'm
it's
sorry.
been, yeah, I thought we discussed it before, or it's
I
been.
don't remember it coming. It might have, and I just wasn't here.
Yeah, we approved the budget. I have a question. On the postcards, the verbiage on the postcards that we're going to use, to send to hopefully all citizens' homes and everything, have we come to an agreement on how that'll be said yet, or?
That's in development and will be
Yes.
sent for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Not, Lee. Thank you very much. We need any action on that?
No, no action needed. It was just for updates to let everybody know we got work going on.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman. Horner, the bulk waste, and we'll now move into Calendar Rules Committee. Chairman Doty, back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Calendar and Rules Committee to order. Do we have any visitors wishing to address this committee? Seeing none, we'll move forward with old business. We have none. New business, item 4A, review of the regular calendar items. There will be some changes as to that which was printed. If you want to follow along, item 10A will be removed, which is Resolution 23, wheel tax resolution. Item 10F, which was in here, but it's just for information. It was the SRO grant program. There was no vote on that, so it will not be moving forward. Item 10G2, which was listed as Fund 101 SROs. There was no vote on that because there was no information at this time. And under item 12A, the bulk waste regulation was just an information. There was no vote there, so that will not be moving forward as well. With those changes, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
With a motion and a second, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B, have a review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
With a motion and a second to approve, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. That concludes our business. However, Commissioner Howell is asked to speak. Commissioner Howell, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I was wondering if you will tell us what time at our premier park, our huge event with tremendous resources there, what time did they start leaving the park?
Start leaving?
Yes, sir. What time, or did the park close at a certain time?
I left there about 12:30.
Oh, my word.
Amen.
Okay.
So that was when about everybody, but some of the workers still gathering up equipment from the band, the fireworks people gathering all their stuff, but most of all the participants, everybody was out of the park and gone.
By
12 o'clock.
That late.
11:30, 12 o'clock.
I'm liking 11:30. Okay. All right, that's what I needed. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioners, tomorrow, a reminder at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon on Martin Luther King Boulevard, we have, we're all invited to the groundbreaking for Lincoln Heights Elementary School. The building is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting to mention? Yes, sir.
Just kind of off the agenda and everything, but I think we need to, if you're so minded, to remember the Poole family in your prayers. I was by Crescent Center Drugs this afternoon. Ashley was working, and I talked to her, and my heart goes out to them, and we know Barry well, and of course I was in school with Suzanne, so let's just, if you are like-minded, remember them in your prayers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Mr. Horn. Thank you, sir. Am I forgetting anything, anybody? Well, we are completed.
We went through that 2 years ago.